The headset crackles. A voice, tight with tension, cuts through the static seconds before a restart. Somewhere behind that voice sits a spotter, watching a wall of cars bunch up at nearly 190 miles per hour, waiting for the moment everything could go wrong. This is not the first time this radio channel has sounded like this. For weeks now, something about the transmissions coming from the number 23 car has felt different. The words are sharper, the pauses are longer. The exchanges end faster than they used to, cut short before a full sentence finishes. And nobody outside the team knows exactly why, until Atlanta. This is Bubba Wallace, and this is 23XI Racing. 2026 is a playoff year, and every position on the track carries championship weight. A single spot gained or lost can decide whether a team advances to the next round or gets eliminated entirely. For Wallace and 23XI Racing, this season has been framed as a fight for legitimacy, a team trying to prove it belongs among NASCAR's contenders in a field that grows more competitive every single week. On the other side sits NASCAR's officiating system, along with a wave of public speculation that has grown louder with every passing race. Wallace has been publicly critical of NASCAR's restart procedures, calling them one of the most frustrating parts of the sport, arguing that drivers and spotters are given almost no time to react before chaos unfolds at the front of the field. That criticism was aimed squarely at the system, not at his own team. But it added fuel to a narrative that was already building around the number 23 car long before Atlanta ever happened. At Echo Park Speedway, Wallace appeared to finish second, a result that should have delivered a massive boost to his playoff position heading into the next elimination round. Instead, NASCAR handed down a penalty that erased it entirely within minutes of the checkered flag falling. NASCAR stated, Bubba Wallace has been penalized for advancing his position below the yellow line on the final lap at Echo Park Speedway. Following post-race review, the number 23 is scored 29th. The penalty dropped him 27 positions, transforming a career-defining finish into one of the most controversial moments of his entire season. Wallace responded directly, rejecting the ruling in unambiguous terms during his post-race comments. Bubba Wallace said, "It says advancing your position. I did not do that. I was on the brakes, trying to avoid wrecking everyone. I don't agree with the call." 23XI Racing discussed the ruling with NASCAR officials afterward, but the penalty was not overturned, and the final scoring stood exactly as issued. In the span of a single final lap, a championship-boosting result became a devastating setback that reshaped the entire storyline of the team's playoff push for the remainder of the year. The Atlanta penalty did not happen in isolation. Across multiple races this year, Wallace's radio communications have repeatedly captured him questioning strategy calls, challenging his own team's communication, and reacting emotionally in the middle of restarts and cautions. NASCAR's own radioactive broadcasts have picked up these moments on multiple occasions, feeding growing fan speculation with each new clip that surfaces online in the hours after a race. Then came a response from inside the building itself. Denny Hamlin, co-owner of 23XI Racing, addressed the Atlanta penalty publicly rather than staying silent on the matter. Denny Hamlin said, "Rules have to be applied consistently. Whether fans agree or not, NASCAR made the decision based on the rulebook. Consistency matters." The measured, almost distant tone of that statement raised an immediate question across the garage and among fans online. Was this a co-owner backing NASCAR's process over his own driver's public protest? For contrast, rival driver Ty Gibbs offered a very different kind of public resolution after a separate on-track conflict earlier in the season. Ty Gibbs said, "I went over to apologize after the Stage 2 contact. Racing gets emotional, but I wanted to clear the air afterward." That kind of quick public resolution stands in sharp contrast to the situation still surrounding Wallace, which remains unresolved, unexplained, and increasingly discussed across NASCAR media. This is exactly the kind of breakdown NASCAR Trackline TV was built to bring you, the stories behind the headset, not just the highlight reel everyone else covers after the checkered flag. And speaking of milestones, this channel is closing in on 500 subscribers, and it's breakdowns like this one that are getting us there. If you want more of this kind of in-depth coverage, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this video with another NASCAR fan who needs to hear it today. The scrutiny surrounding this story has extended well beyond fans online and into the NASCAR media landscape itself. Veteran NASCAR insider Bob Pockrass said, Wallace's radio continues drawing attention because every emotional exchange is amplified. That doesn't automatically indicate internal issues inside 23XI Racing. Journalist Jeff Gluck said, "Playoff pressure changes how every radio transmission is interpreted. Fans naturally look for patterns, but frustration over the radio is common throughout the garage." Jordan Bianchi said, "Atlanta didn't create the scrutiny, it intensified it. Every radio clip is now being viewed through the lens of that controversial penalty." End quote. The Athletic NASCAR said, "Communication under pressure has become one of the biggest storylines surrounding the number 23 team, even though there's no verified evidence of internal conflict. These voices represent an attempt to calm a growing narrative, even as attention around the team continues to build regardless of the reassurances being offered. Fans, meanwhile, are not waiting for confirmation from anyone inside the sport before forming their own conclusions. NASCAR fan 01 said, "Bubba's radio sounds frustrated every week now. Maybe it's just playoff pressure, but something definitely feels different." Stock Car Critic said, "Atlanta changed everything. Every strategy call, every restart, every radio clip now gets analyzed like it's evidence of a bigger problem." The question remains unanswered, heading into the next race weekend. Is this simply smoke without fire, or is the fan base noticing something insiders have not yet said out loud? Some voices are pushing the conversation even further, beyond just Wallace, and into the sport as a whole. Oval Observer said the restart debate deserves more attention than the radio clips. Drivers have milliseconds to react, and one bad call changes an entire race. Pit Road Talk said, "Media scrutiny around Bubba Wallace is unlike almost anyone else in the garage. That makes ordinary frustration look extraordinary." Neither Wallace nor 23XI Racing has confirmed any internal conflict at any point in the season. What exists is a pattern, a costly penalty, a co-owner's carefully worded public comment, and a full season's worth of tense radio traffic, being read and interpreted by an entire fan base in real time, race after race. Two outcomes remain on the table heading into the next elimination race. RaceHub Daily said, "Winning solves everything in NASCAR. If Bubba starts stacking top 5 finishes again, this entire narrative disappears overnight." That is one possibility. The other is that Hamlin's measured tone and the stacked pattern of radio tension represent the first visible crack in something bigger, still hidden behind closed hauler doors and unspoken inside the team's own walls. Drop a comment and tell us, do you think Hamlin's comments were supporting his driver or siding with NASCAR's decision? Do you believe this radio pattern means something more, or is this simply playoff pressure boiling over at the worst possible time for this team? Comment your take below and share this video with a fellow NASCAR fan who needs to see it. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.